viewers and subscribers. Welcome once again my continuation of the screencast about Java programming from the beginners to professional screencast. I already talked about more about how can you install the Java, and then how can you have the possibility with the different Java application, desktop application, web applications. And also I already talked about Java SC and Java EE, Java ME, those things. There is in my channels I already added those screencasts. You can go there. This is the Java professionals and for beginners to professionals, the playlist. You can go this one, the newer one I will add with this next. That means from this screencast I try to start from the very beginning level to the professional levels. That means from installation to the after to the software application developments, means the basically the Java core programming issues and concepts and ideas. How can you start the Java programming? That's the things I try to share with you. So we already talk about these different type of Java SC, EE, ME, and also the Java Unary, JDK, JVM, and software development kits. And you can just follow the channels and then you can get the proper idea. I already discussed really more detail about those things. So Java SC, the Java JDK, Unary, and JVM issues, I already talked about this one and little bit part of the discussions I already did in my last screencast about the object-oriented programming. As far you know, the Java is object-oriented programming, and it has some object-oriented programming features and functionalities that really really abstract level informations. They have object, class, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulations. Those things I will discuss again and again when I further continuing the screencast. That's the idea. But you got the idea. I just like abstract level. I did the discussion about this one. The previous screencast. Just you can follow that things. Java programmings. That's the part that we did the installation. We set the class and class path. We check the installation, everything perfect working, and then we just integrate the development with the different IDE, Eclipse, and IntelliJ IDE. I already set up those things. You can just follow the channels and then you get the idea. So, and I already discussed this one also, that you have Java source code, the compile times, and then you have this all the your source code, the compiler, and then you have a bytecode into the as a class dot and class. Here is the your class dot Java, and then here's the after the compilations you have a bytecode class dot classes. Maybe the different class name, but it says the end of the day dot class bytecode you Java classes. So this is today I try to discuss with you more detail about the Java variables, and then the different type of variables, and also the data types, as like primitive data type and the non-primitive data types. These are the things I try to discuss today, and then we will start the Java programming. How can those things, and you can visualize how can those things you can understand very clearly. That's the things we will do together. That's the intention today. Then I will finish the presentation part, and then we will discuss how the different type of data types, and also the different type of variables, and then and also that I try to cover with you what mean the wrapper classes, and then how the important these wrapper classes, why this is too important, the wrapper classes. That's the things I try to discuss with you today. So go back to the presentations. So we see that variables is the name of the reserve area allocated memory in or name of your memory locations. That means if you have defined variables, it's allocate your memory location, where is the name of your memory location, where your memory is allocated, the name, the unique identifier or unique name of your memory locations. That's basically three types of variables. You can say local variables, or that's global, and instance variable, and then static variables. I will discuss a little bit more these things. And then you know already the data types. You have a primitive data types. That means the primitive data type Boolean characters, byte, short, integer, long, float, double data type. And then this is the non-primitive data type. I means that your web classes, interfaces, string, array, collections, and data structure, all are non-primitive data types. You need to understand very clearly this data type, because it's a more core and fundamental issues for the any type of programming. It doesn't matter, or any type of object-oriented programming from Java or C# or .NET or Python or other object-oriented programming. You need to be think about, you need to clearly understand different type of data types. So if you see the pictures like data types, it has a primitive. This is the primitive data type, non-primitive data type, and then it says as a vector classes, the Boolean, numeric, and characters, integer, and the plot points, and then you have it like primitive data type, Boolean, character, byte, short, integer, long, float, and double data type. And non-primitive data type, that's I already said, all the data structure is string, array, interfaces, classes, vector classes, and so on and so forth. This is the things you need to be clearly understand. That means you have three types of variables, like local variables, you have instance variables, and then you have static variables. I will show you later, and then the program code, and then you have basically two types of data types, the primitive data types and non-primitive data types. So that means you have a primitive data type, maybe you need to be converted in different part of the applications, because basically the collections and the data structure is completely based on the non-primitive data type. That means if you have a primitive data type like integer, you cannot make the integer list. Like you need to be a primitive vector class integer value, and then you can build the list. That's why the list collections, array, and then string, all things, or you basically in the collections data or data structure, you need to the all primitive data type need to be transformed into the non-primitive data type via the vector classes. That's the thing I will discuss a little bit later. So we got the idea. That's a variable to three type of variables: local variable, instance variable, and then static variable to type the data, the primitive data types, and then also non-primitive data types. That's the things. So if you see our default data types and then default value and size, you have a booleans, and default is false and 1 bit, and characters, and this is the default value, and then 2 bytes, and then you have a byte data types, and this is the default value 0, 1 byte, short, and then 2 bytes, integer, and float is that has a default value 0 and f, and it's a 4 bytes, and long and double is the 8-byte data types. This is the memory size of your data depending on your data types. And then it says see that the default values of your data. If you don't set any values, that means it's by default it is the default value. If it's values that's fixed, initialize the value, and then value is the initialized value. That's you already initialized the respective variables. That's I mean. So default is the maximum default size. You can see the size up to 1 bit to the 8 bytes data types for depending on your data. So that means you have a character 2 bytes, byte 1 byte, short and a short 2 bytes, integer, and float 4 byte, long and double data byte. Just you need to be remember what type of data you have it, and the default size of data and default values of these respective data types. So this is one of the most important part that we already talk about, the vector classes. So you see that you have a primitive data types, and then you have a vector classes. That means each primitive data type it has own vector class. Like you see the big byte and big letter V, and then you have a short, and then S, and integer, and the long alphabet, and then a float, double, double B, Boolean, and Boolean characters and characters. This is the really most